I think they actually...
They brought bouquets of roses, too. Roses are expensive right now.
Yeah. Talk about price gouging. You guys, please get ready and welcome And How.
Outstanding. It's not the perfect sound of your words arranging. It's not your body's warmth that heats my frozen gaze. It's not the day we were born. The constitutes of fate. That brings us relevance. It's not a touching heart that traces loopholes. It's not the azure work of art that swims around your people. To cease. It's not the Ozark cold that sat up smoking. It's not the way I stay these days, as if I'm joking.
Hello, and welcome to Infotec 2020, presented by the AIM Institute. For those of you that I haven't met yet, my name is Maria Brady, and I am the Director of Membership Development here at AIM. We are so excited that you are here with us virtually today. Infotec is all about the business of technology, so whether you're a student, contractor, startup founder, or manager at a Fortune 500 company, today we're going to focus on how to hire, train, manage, and lead in today's technology sector. Before we officially kick off today's conference, we want to thank all of our wonderful sponsors and partners. Without you, we would not be able to bring together all of these amazing companies and the best tech talent in the region. As a nonprofit, the AIM Institute relies on our board, all of whom were sought out for their expertise and involvement in the community. Their leadership, insights, and support continually help the AIM Institute evolve and provide powerful programs to create a community that we all want. Thank you to our board members for your continued support and for joining us here today. We are very excited to have you here for the next few hours. While the pandemic has caused major changes in all of our lives, requiring months of flexibility and adaptation, we are grateful to have the technology that allows us to still engage, learn, and connect. Let's use this event to share our ideas and knowledge with one another. As you attend the breakout sessions throughout the day, take some time to visit our virtual expo hall and meet our sponsors and partners. Also, take a few minutes to enter our one-on-one networking room to meet other attendees. If you are here at Infotec and would like to meet with a specific person, you can search them in the People tab and invite them to a one-on-one private video within Hopin. If you experience any technical problems, please email our team and we will assist you. This is also pinned at the top of our event chat. To spice things up a bit, there will be 2 raffles throughout the day. If you make a donation of any size to the AIM Institute before 4 p.m., you will be entered to win a Samsung 1 terabyte external drive. And if you visit every booth in our virtual expo hall, you will be entered in a raffle to win an Amazon Echo Show 5 smart display with Alexa. Now, before we dive in, I want to say thank you for supporting the AIM Institute and our nonprofit mission of building the tech talent community. AIM has fostered the growth of Omaha's tech sector for more than 25 years through education, career development, and outreach. We promote diversity and inclusion in the field by making outstanding educational opportunities and career training accessible to all, starting with our elementary school STEM exposure programs and at community events like Infotec. We pride ourselves on addressing the unique needs of each tech professional by connecting talent with mentors, career navigators that can guide them through our suite of programs, and resources to expand their skills to build a fulfilling future in tech. We at AIM focus on groups of individuals who historically have lacked access to the tech field. The diversity numbers for the tech industry are low, with Hispanic, Latino, and African Americans making up around 7% of the overall tech workforce, and women making up only around 1/3 of the workforce in tech careers. We aim to increase those numbers for 2 reasons. The first being opportunity. The tech industry is poised to grow by 24% over the next 5 years, which means more positions will be available. A job in tech can be life-changing. At AIM, we call this decision to pursue a tech career the $1 million decision, because over the course of a lifetime, someone who has a tech job will, on average, earn $1 million more. The second reason is because it makes business sense. Numerous studies have shown that the more diverse the workforce, the better they ideate, the more productive they are, and the more profit that is earned. So no longer is it just a moral and ethical decision to increase diversity, it's also an economic one. And we want to do whatever we can to continue to push things in the right direction. Thank you in advance for your support of the AIM Institute and our mission to get more people into tech careers. We're going to have a lot of fun today at Infotec. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our first keynote speaker, Paul Jarrett. Paul is the CEO and co-founder of Bulu. Paul and his co-founder, Stephanie, launched Bulu's flagship program, Bulu Box, in 2012, creating private label subscription box businesses for the world's largest retail brands. We are so excited to have him here today to speak with us at Infotec. Please join me in welcoming Paul Jarrett.
Good morning, Infotec, and thank you for having me. My name is Paul Jarrett. I am the CEO and co-founder of Bulu and also the keynote speaker today. So thank you for all taking the time to at least click in and watch me blab on here on a your desktop. And I'm recording from my lovely basement in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I have my dog in the corner over there. So let's cross our fingers that along with this new software I'm using, everything goes accordingly with the dog in the software. So a lot of you are probably right now asking yourself this: WTF is this guy? I often ask myself the same thing. So a lot of folks refer to me as a subscription box guy, but I've done quite a bit more than that in my days. So I'd like to just kind of give like a real quick background on myself. I always feel like that helps quite a bit. And, frankly, when people are speaking, I always find myself asking like, why am I listening to this person? Why did they pick this person? So hopefully there's just like a little something that everybody will take away from today. Or I guess at least you have the slides to Zoom or click through or whatever you're using. So, or what are we doing? Hop in? Is that the new one? So that'll be fun. Good luck with that. So our company went from shipping 0 to millions of shipments. There is a lot of technology, a lot of software we've built, a lot of things that we've used. We've learned a lot along the way. We were one of the first subscription boxes, the 6th to be correct. And this was back in 2011 was the idea. 2012 was when we started, and we raised some venture capital money. And man, it's been 8, 9 years now. Oof, started sweating on that one. We also work with companies like Clorox, Disney, GNC, Lululemon. Yes, I'm dropping all the big ones and showing off the goods here. And recently, we've started working with some mid-sized clients, thanks to the pandemic and Disney theme parks shutting down. GNC retail locations shutting down. I'm smiling through the pain, but no, it's been good. We've been able to adjust quickly, and frankly, when you fail a lot and you pivot a lot, it almost starts to become like old hat. So really proud of our team, and I'm excited as our business has kind of pivoted and we're working more and more in some new areas and have some new clientele. Also, we have in our spare time built and sold a software company. I believe technically it's a software asset. And the short version of it was called Bulu Marketplace. It was basically the LinkedIn.com for consumer packaged goods. And what we found is in the retail world, a lot of folks need to understand how big pallet sizes are. They need to understand how the package is wrapped, all this detail. And we were doing a lot of that because we're sampling a lot of different products in our sample box, which that is what Bulu Box was, which I'll get into in a minute. And these companies needed this information. So we built it. I think somebody got a little nervous and came through, and that was acquired. And that just kind of like propelled us on to the next step. We had a whole data science team, a lot of engineers, a lot of developers. And that was a cool, fun chapter of our business. So I'm here to talk about how to be a failure. I'm not sure what iteration the keynote was quoted, but definitely. So I guess that's a fail in and of itself. But I guess there's a lot that I can talk about on this front, fortunately and unfortunately. So this is the part where I'm supposed to take a deep breath and give a dramatic pause. I had it as a note, and for some reason I just thought it would be funny to go ahead and put it up on the screen. I have failed a lot. Our team has failed a lot, and I kind of put that on myself as CEO and co-founder of our company. And I don't think that we spend enough time talking about it. I think a lot of people talk about failure, but they don't kind of get into the nitty-gritty of it. And I think it's important, especially if you're developing software, if you're starting a company, if you're working in innovation, it's just kind of part of the process. And, everybody has a great plan until they get punched in the face, as the great Mike Tyson once said. And, I haven't worked with a lot of people in innovation, whether it's the Clorox team or the Disney team, that doesn't plan on doing something awesome, but doesn't encounter a lot of hiccups. And the people that I've seen succeed, in those departments, be it software, consumer packaged goods, hardware, are the people that are almost, mentally prepared for that. And as I thought about it, I was like, what is that thing? And how can I be more like that? And I did my homework, and, this is going to be some of the context of the presentation. And I think there's some things in here that some people will really enjoy, and will be some actual like concrete takeaways, which frankly is what I'd want if I'm in your shoes. So I failed a lot. I think somebody snuck that slide in there. So what does it mean to fail? My mother-in-law actually said this to me, and she said it to me in a time when I was down and out, and I was frustrated at first, but I kind of took a step back and really listened to what she was trying to tell me, and man, it really hit home for me. So I think of fail, and this is what the little meme was that she sent me. Fail is nothing more than first attempt in learning. There it is for you, right? Exactly what you want to get from your mother-in-law when you're going through a hard time in a company. But no, truth is, I love her to death. I hit the jackpot and actually have some really cool in-laws. And I'm not just saying that because I'm being recorded. It is the truth. So shout out to Diane. So real quick on the story of our company. This is the Bulu story. So my wife and I co-founded the company. That's my wife, Stephanie Jarrett. That is actually the day that we came up with the nugget of the idea for Bulu Box. We were doing a half marathon. I have done a full. I wish it would have been a full that day. But during our half marathon, we noticed that there were some samples that were being distributed. And being from the retail side and working in New York City all the way to San Francisco in advertising, we really knew that a frustration was like nobody knew what the return of investment was on a sample. So we talked about that during the race, especially when we got to the end, and being from Nebraska and we were living in San Francisco at the time, they're giving away shoes as a sample. And I just thought, this is crazy that nobody is asking us for any information. They're just literally handing us shoes and gallons of milk and you name it. And, the Nebraskans are shuffling home with just like packs of stuff. And we just saw that there's a real opportunity of like, hey, I wonder if we can put a number to this so folks actually know what the value of it is. I also helped start a company called Complete Nutrition. So that annoying jingle, the Complete Nutrition, all the radio ads, I'm sorry about that. A lot of them were supposed to be roughs or never, gone live, but man, they worked. And I guess I'm the guy. A lot of you are probably logging out now because I'm one of the folks that were responsible for just flooding the airwaves in Omaha for, frankly, kind of a lot of different states for Complete Nutrition. And, samples were one of the ways that we saw to convert people. And so that was always just something that we constantly encountered of what is the ROI on a sample. It's a great conversion tactic to a customer, but how does that work? And can we leverage technology to do that? So we started our company and our idea in San Francisco, and we hopped in a car and presented to some investors in Nebraska. We were actually on our way home for the holidays and thought, let's go pitch this idea somewhere. Might as well. It's if we mess it up in Nebraska, who's going to find out about it in San Francisco? And it worked out, and we moved to, that's where I was living. Sorry, my graphic threw me off again. Somebody threw that in there to mess with me. That is not me. That's a really good Photoshop of me. But, we went from San Francisco back to lovely Nebraska. Boy, they really had fun with this presentation. So there's me in my stereotype Nebraska outfit. So what does Bulu do? This is a picture of an actual Bulu box. It was our first product. For $10 a month, people could receive a Bulu box every month that would have 4 to 5 premium vitamin, supplement, healthy snack samples. We'd collect the data. We'd figure out what the ROI was on the sample packet. And we'd also leverage the data to create full-size versions, full-size products on our own, and then try to get customers on subscription on that. And that's really what kind of built out our software, which I was talking about earlier, which we sold. But it went amazing. We grew quickly. We raised a couple rounds of capital. And really what happened in the market is that there was a flood of subscription boxes and we thought, we better try something else. So we built software. We've kind of pivoted the company a couple times. We were recently doubling and growing and profitable and all that great stuff for the past couple of years, and now we're in pandemic, so this will probably just be another fun chapter. But this is where the company started. That is actually my parents' basement. That was our second office location, believe it or not. Our first one was in San Francisco in our 495 square foot apartment. Then we moved back to Nebraska to my parents' basement. And then that bedroom down there, that's our third location. That was our actual office. And, people often ask me how we got good at what we do. And I tell them, go to bed staring at 500 boxes, and then, wake up doing the same thing. And you'll start figuring stuff out as you slowly lose your mind a little bit. But yeah, that was literally our back office conference room. It was an interesting, fun time, and that was, I think, about the first 14 months of the company. So we were really slugging it out in the beginning. Despite having capital, we were, really frugal and tried to just make the best decisions possible early on. Things went well. We grew. We went to got an actual real office. We got a 5,000 square foot warehouse, which we thought was awesome. We built our own warehouse management software. Then we grew to 9,000 square feet, and then we grew to 25,000 square feet. And every time we're growing, we're having to build out new systems, new process, new software. Frankly, we couldn't afford, and a lot of things out on the market weren't out there for this subscription box and what we needed it to do. So there's a lot of iterations, a lot of pain, headache. As much I'd love to say there was like that light bulb moment, I would say it was more like the never-ending story with Treyu and his horse just going through the mud, trying not to have bad thoughts or else the horse will sink in the mud. Some of you are going to get that reference. Others of you are going to have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm okay with that because this is recorded. So I guess you can Google it. Stop right now and just go Google never-ending story swamp horse scene, and you'll understand it. So yeah, I feel like it was much more of a slugfest for us than it was any bright light bulb idea. And I think, to be honest, that's how it is for most entrepreneurs. But we don't come out and say that. We always give like the sugar-coated best version. And I think that's not really great, because then when it comes to innovation, there's a misperception of how it should go. So I think this presentation will help clear some of that up for folks. This is our current warehouse. It's almost 100,000 square feet, give or take. We have plenty of people, full-time equivalent of hundreds of people. A lot of full-time people in our corporate office. I pause because I'm trying to think of how many people we have remote and working in an office and in a warehouse. So all I know is that on the application for award show for Inc. and then other stuff, we can say the full-time equivalent of 200. So a couple dozen people that are full-time, fully loaded, full benefits. And boy, it's, as I look down my screens here, it gives me a little bit of heartache seeing that, because I'm, frankly, like, whoa, that's a lot of responsibility. But no, it's great. We love it. And, we're, again, for this warehouse on our next iteration of software that we're building and implementing. So through this whole kind of process of growth, I've learned a lot. And the thing that I think we need to share with people, in innovation, in software, is how to fail intelligently. And yes, that was my joke for fun. Hashtag dad jokes. So let's try a visual here. And this is something, I didn't come up with on my own. Frankly, when things are going really bad, you kind of search a lot for answers. And this is a mental model that I snagged from some Harvard studies and kind of, manipulated it so it kind of reflects some of my experience, other entrepreneurs' experiences. One time when we're kind of at our low point, I spent time contacting about 57 different entrepreneurs. The ones that really seemed happy and had time and just really said, like, what are you doing that I'm not doing? And, this is kind of, I would say, roughly about 6 to 7 years. And, a lot of research, a lot of leveraging things that are out there, a lot of, just flat out calling, different presentations. I've given this presentation, or versions of it, I should say, across the country, and it seems to be something that really resonates with folks because I'm trying to put some concrete steps into something that everybody talks about and might have a lot of like rhetoric or hurrah or the whole hang in their kitty attitude about. But this is something that I hope folks will find helpful. So let's start with the failure, right? So something went wrong, which it is almost going to inevitably happen. Even if you're not doing anything, that's probably a failure on its own. So most folks, they have this instinctive emotional response due to the fear of embarrassment to just hide or get away from that thing as fast as possible. I really think a lot of people shy away from doing things at work or starting something or just giving things a try because they can't even get over the preconceived idea of like, oh, if this fails, like what are people going to think of me? And I think it's really deep rooted, and a lot of us like to think that we don't have it, but I think it's almost our nature, right? And I think if you have a lot of self-reflection, like a lot of people will identify with that of like, oh, what's holding me back is me. It's so easy to use the kind of visual of like one finger pointing your way, but really there's three pointing your way and one pointing out, and it's so easy to kind of like blame all these things, but in reality it all comes back to you. Whether you can all go all the way back to like, is it the job that you're at, the people that you're with? But like I think we're so quick to point the finger at all these external forces, but the reality is like it's you. Like you are the thing, and when you think about that, that's a lot of like intense kind of subconscious fear of embarrassment. And so a lot of people, if there is a fail, they're going to try to cover it up. They're going to try to run away from it. There's this fear of embarrassment, fear of getting fired. But really, if you stop and pause and think through it, there is an opportunity to keep going and to like maximize your learning from it. And if you take that time to do that, the next thing, if you don't proceed past that, because everybody says, oh, I failed, well, what did you learn from it? And that's kind of it, right? There's a whole rest of the process of this loop, I call it the fail loop, that people aren't thinking through, right? And after you learn from it, you have to put that into play. And a lot of people exit at that part because of this inability to adapt behaviors or their strategy to what they've learned, right? So you can learn from it, but can you change and actually proceed, right? And what I've seen with this like failure loop is people do accomplish it, but it's not a process. And, by putting steps to it and to actually forcing yourself through it, it's a way to kind of manage expectations. I always tell people like get through the fail loop as fast as you can, because it's just going to make things way easier. And the odds are of, if you do experience a failure, doing nothing or sitting and waiting often becomes way worse than actually just addressing it and figuring out what to do next. If you can get through and hang in that loop to the iteration process, the next is you're gonna probably have to take another, what I would call like informed risk, right? So you've failed, you've learned from it, you've iterated your strategy or your behavior, and now you have to try it again, which sucks because it might happen again, but you're moving forward in the process. And a lot of people exit at this point, or they freeze, or whatever it is, because they really struggle to leverage what they've learned from that failure and that process to iterate and make improvements, right? And that's kind of like a basic model, but I think a lot of people, they'll just move on to the next part and fail again. But I always say there's a huge step in here that people are missing, and that is like unpacking the why, right? Like, why did this all happen to begin with? And by adding that unpacking the why before you jump into the next iteration of it and take that informed risk, I think it's going to help people avoid a lot of just, kind of going on the same path. And frankly, if you look at this as like a loop, it might prevent you from going through the loop one more time, right? So that's like a really fancy graph, but it's way more fun to hear about failures or to, frankly, like see what it is in the play. But I encourage you all to take a screenshot of this or download it or whatever you can do with it. And if you're struggling with something at work, like take a look at this and try to figure out where you are on this chart, right? And figure out what you can do to get to the next step. So let's do some IRL, in real life, as the kids say, scenarios. Let's talk about some failure first. Bulu box failure. So what happened? With Bulu box, it was amazing because we grew to 500K monthly recurring revenue. There was a pretty massive failure in it, in that there was a miscalculation over time of the customer acquisition cost. So when we started, it was literally 28 cents to get a customer. They would stay on for 8 to 12 months at least, and then we'd get them to buy other products. And it was a great CAC to LTV payback ratio for those math nerds out there in the audience. But really, we never expected in our wildest dreams all these subscription boxes to come to the market and to really just 10x, 100x that customer acquisition cost. And that was a failure on our part because of the inability to kind of predict the future. And we knew boxes were coming, but for some reason we thought, well, we're just going to be better at marketing than everybody else. And so we had to step back and really maximize our learnings from it. And what we did end up learning is that there were a lot of companies that wanted to do these boxes. And as much as we wanted our company to be acquired, it just wasn't the right time or place. And so we thought, okay, what can we do if the customer acquisition cost is a problem? Can we raise more capital? Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? And, then it just kind of hit us of hey, there's big companies that want to do these things. Let's go work with big companies and leverage their marketing budgets to create a very similar box. And, we have all the systems in place now. If they can fill in the blank for marketing with their budget, with their assets, with their store locations, this could be a home run. So we did it. Literally picked up the phone, told another company, GNC, who, crazy enough, it was a competitor to us, but we kept both Bulu box and we landed this GNC. You can even tell, I'll flip back, the boxes are literally built the same way because of the efficiencies to do those things. So we learned from it, we iterated. And with Bulu box, I believe at our peak, we were doing about 60,000 every month. And, GNC, I think, was up to 80,000 in month 3. And then it was another 80,000. Then it was another 80,000. So, it was just, rocket shipped our growth. And, it was all a matter of just understanding the paths and getting through that failure loop of why did this happen? What can we do differently? And I'll be frank with everybody. It's a tough pill to swallow to say, okay, I guess we're going to go to our competition and try to do this for them. But it was definitely the best move to make. It was a risky move. And being able to kind of communicate to them what was going on and be transparent, I think really is what led to that deal working out. So the iteration, we were how do we repeat this process, right? So we were working on GNC and we couldn't kind of just do this for all of the different vitamin and supplement companies. And so one of the iterations is we went to Disney. We literally made a list. It's Disney, Crayola, Lego, etc. We just got Disney, did 3 boxes, did Crayola, worked with 3 boxes. The iteration with Disney, though, started off as a license. We frankly wanted to do that, but because the program was so awesome with them, as we approached them to license it out, they said, let's do this as a real project, as a real company, to which I said, I guess we'll take your money. Good marketing tactic for folks out there. Maybe start through the licensing department and then pivot into the actual innovation department. But we had a lot of different iterations of this, and the things that we learned were really different sorts of shipping methods for the sizes didn't work, and all sorts of new learnings. And frankly, we tried to do this licensing thing with some other companies, and we learned from it. We iterated the boxes, we iterated the versions, and we're able to really step back and say, okay, here are the 7 common things that these companies need. Here is what the companies look like that we can work with. That really unlocked our ability to grow and to, frankly, work with some really large retail brands. Informed risk taking. So, this had the potential to be a large failure, and thankfully it wasn't. But the short of this is called Lunarly, Lunarly. Feel free to go buy a box. Actually, don't buy a box because we're back. Well, buy a box, but be ready to wait. The fail with this was this is actually Scott's Miracle Grow company. We built this whole program out with Scott's Miracle Grow and BuzzFeed. It took the better part of a year. When the kind of rubber started to hit the road, there was some real concern about the logistics of shipping plants. And, frankly, the contract fell through, multi-million-dollar contract, year plus of working on, and it just didn't happen. And so in the, what would that be, like 11th hour, 13th hour, whatever it is, we really just stepped back and frankly, the same thing has happened almost repeatedly with all these major brands. If we get to the contract and just goes putz, and, looking at that failure loop and being able to sit as a team and go through and go like, what happened? Where did we lose, this company? And is there time to actually, recuperate? And I'll tell you this, there always is time to come back to the table. And, really what we learned with Scott's is that by, again, just picking up the phone, we said, hey, let's fly out to Chicago. Let's talk this through. And we went through a few different kind of like, hey, where did we fail? We looked at the failure loop. And really what we found out was the company, because of the risk with the plants and something new, they just weren't legally willing to take it on. And by that time, we had already kind of done our own analysis, and we said, well, hey, why don't we start this as one of our companies, and we'll kind of transition it over once we reduce the risk. We knew it was a big risk on our part, but they didn't realize that was on the table. Nobody had kind of thought about it. And the only reason we netted out to it is because we went through this failure loop and really unpacked why the deal wasn't going through. And so we did that. The program's been running now for 5 years. It's a really large growing program. And, frankly, if we didn't sit down and unpack the why as to the contract and everything not working out, we would have never made the deal go down. So last failure, and I'll make this one quick, I'm sure I'm going over my time. We did, as I mentioned before, we did do licensing, and this is one of the programs that we licensed out, and this was awesome program, and we love Shark Week, and everything was there. It was even at a time where in the media and politics, Shark Week was very big. Is that about as close as I can get to talking politics? So we thought we really had a home run on our hands with this one, but we ran into some issues, and the box ended up breaking even for us. We didn't ship nearly as many as we thought we did. And as we looked back on it and we looked at the licensing deal, everything was in our favor, but we really didn't understand the requirements for approvals when it came to licensing. And the direction of our company was going to be licensed boxes, but frankly, unpacking and understanding why this box wasn't successful, we found that the approval times for these licensing deals took so long. And when you're doing a monthly or quarterly box, frankly, you just don't have that time. And the solution to that was we're just going to have to walk away from licensing deals, even though we had some killer deals. And there are some subscription boxes that do this kind of strategy of licensing, and that's not turning out well for them. And to watch them, frankly, it just sucks, because you can see how companies haven't taken the time to really unpack why that scenario won't work for this sort of a product. And I'm really proud of our team that we did take the time to step back and understand, will this work or will this not work? And being able to walk away from, frankly, something that looks like a good deal, but understanding that it's not. All credit to our team, because that was definitely something that I wanted to push forward with. But going again through that fail loop and understanding it's just not going to work here, because we're unpacking that why, and we really have no control over the speed at which things get approved. And really, to summarize like the lessons in all of this, yes, the mental model of the fail loop is awesome. I think those are great steps and ways to push through for people to, figure out when things do go wrong, because they always will, right? How can you actually step on that loop and go through it as quick as possible? And frankly, that's why I think most innovators succeed, is they're able just to get through that process much faster than people. Things that I used to take me like, months or maybe even years to get over, boy, once that pandemic hit, it's just every hour on the hour. You're just looping all day, right? You're getting through, you're going, why? Okay, go, let's move. And frankly, that's why I have all the confidence in our team and the path that we're going. And I think that's something that needs to be shared, particularly in the Midwest, because I think there's like a propensity or like a habit of us to like cover up our failures. And I think we need to get out and share them and work together and actually have a process on how to get through it. But along with that model, the real top 3 things that I see that are key to this model, it's nice to have a guide, like a step, right? But step-by-step model, but there's other things that you need to bear in mind, and really that will make that work. And number 1, I stole this totally from Ray Dalio, a book called Principles by Ray Dalio. I can't recommend it enough. Pain plus self-reflection is progress, right? And it's painful to go through that loop, and it's painful to understand what you did right and what you did wrong, what you did wrong, right? That takes some time. But the good news is the more that you do it, the more comfortable you become with it, and saying things like, I screwed up, we screwed up, I'm sorry, I messed up, it was a bad decision. Those things just become easier to do, and to just understand, like, we did this thing as a company, we lost money, or we tried to be innovative and it didn't work, and that's fine, and let's move forward. Believe me, that process gets much easier, and the results of it are amazing, because your company just becomes more effective at growing and moving forward. But going to that place and self-reflecting and understanding what happened, it's never fun, but just like anything, you get used to it, and I think it's a really healthy habit to kind of explore. It's about the process, not the outcome. That is easy to say, but it's incredibly hard to do, right? There's with failure, there's a lot of emotion. There's usually money involved. There's positions in the company. You name it. That's just a hard thing to deal with. But you have to remind yourself that this is part of the process, be it software development, be it innovation, be it business. A company that's been around, a company that's brand new, like, this is about the process, and that failure loop is about just that. Yes, you have to manage people, you have to manage, all those things, and they matter and they're real. But at the end of the day, when you focus on this process, the outcome happens by itself, right? The fail loop cycle will continue unless you unpack the why. That's kind of the key thing that I think a lot of companies, or a lot of the mental models, or the things that you research out there, they really miss. And it seems simple. And when you look at that failure loop and you go through it, it's just so easy to jump back and try a new iteration, try this. But you really have to sit and think and go through that, pain and self-reflection, and really focus on the process, not the outcome, and really unpack, why did this thing happen? And that will just save you so much time. And, as much as I enjoy like go as much as the next person, sometimes the best thing to do is nothing at all. And that's hard for me to say, and it's even harder for me to do. But sometimes you just need to take a break and really understand why the failure happened. And of course, do that and manage expectations, and don't take a break for like a month or a year or whatever. But I think so many times we just want to fix things, and we want to push forward and move forward. But really giving yourself time to process through failures is, I think, a key thing in unpacking that why that a lot of folks just frankly look over or forget. So it is easy to fail, trust me. It's really, really hard to learn from it. It's easy to say that you learn from it, but it's an incredibly hard thing. And I think it's, frankly, never becomes second nature. It's something that you have to work at, just like anything that you want to be good at. You have to work at it and you have to practice it. And just when you think you have it, it kind of slips away from you and you have to get back to working on it again, right? It's really hard not to get stuck in that cycle of, in the fail loop of, oh, this is the part where I just kind of like run away and hide. Oh, this is the part where I blame something else. Oh, this is the part where, yeah, I learned what happened, but I'm not actually going to move forward. Oh, this is the part where we just do it again, but you never unpack the why. So that's really hard not to get stuck into that vicious cycle. And most importantly, I think it's actually good to be a failure, but only if it becomes your first attempt in learning. And I really encourage you all to think about that and to put that in play and to make fail truly can be a lesson. And just think of that acronym, FAIL, first attempt in learning. And I hope that, just as it did for me, it really changes your outlook on everything and gives you the ability to move forward and embrace the chaos, embrace that pain, and to leverage it and to use it to your advantage to grow and to spread that to other people and to, live just, frankly, as cheesy as it sounds, live a better, more prosperous life, because it works. So thank you very much. We do subscription boxes and fulfillment. We have our own software, but that's part of the sale after we kind of do the fulfillment for subscription boxes and programs. You can hit me up at paul@bulugroup.com. And also my website is pauljarrett.com. Our company is bulugroup.com. And I would say any questions, but I'm not sure if that part's going to happen. So thank you all for having me. I really appreciate it. Honored to share the day today. And hopefully there's a nugget. But yeah, don't be shy. Hit me up anytime. Have a good one.